where we have the opportunity to discuss the importance of real estate teams. My name is Chris Pope, and I'm the head of sales at Propy. I'm accompanied with Kirsten Heslop, who's a senior AE at Propy Title. And our special guest today is someone who has been in the real estate industry for about 30 years. She's one of the top real estate professionals in Arizona, and she is clearly someone who prides herself on exceeding her clients' expectations with hundreds of five-star client testimonials online. So welcome, Rebecca Hidalgo-Rains. Excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I always love getting to do opportunities like this, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So first question, Rebecca. Obviously, you've been in the business for a long time. You've
A long time.
Yeah, right. You've hired a team, you've trained a team. Now you are this veteran agent. Tell us about that journey and when did the business start to click?
Well, those are fantastic questions. And when I look back at my 30 years, it makes me feel really old. Just so everybody knows, I started at the age of 19 and I've been working ever since. So 30 years sounds like a really long time, and it flies when you're having fun, And as far as teams go, today my team is a team of 10. Just last year I was a team of 22. It feels like it's always a work in progress with teams, depending on market conditions and what's going on in the marketplace. My first experience was working for a builder, actually, as a sales manager. And that was like the first time I actually got to lead a sales team, even though it was under a company other than my own. And that was in 2007. And I did that for a few years, which was incredible experience for me. When I became a resale agent again, when the market back in 2007, 8 was very different, and I got really good at doing short sales, and I developed my first resale team as a short sale agent back in that era. And I actually followed at the time I was with Keller Williams for a hot second, and I followed their Red Book the Red Book with like the guidelines to be the rainmaker. And I wasn't taking leads myself at that time. I was just purely feeding my team. And that was an experience I'd love to talk about, mainly because today I do it very different. And the one thing that I want to share with anybody watching or listening is in my 30 years, I've run my team so different, and it has everything to do with market conditions and what's happening, at that time, because when I was doing the rainmaker type of team lead, which basically means I, at that point, was not working with clients. I was only working with agents. And that's very different than what I'm doing today. And I really like what I'm doing today so much better because of my own personality. And every time I talk about having a team, I always go back to, well, do you want to be in the business of agents? Or do you want to be in the business of clients? Or do you want to be in the business of both? Because it's a very different dichotomy in how you work with your agents, depending on what hat you're wearing.
Yeah. Right.
What I mean, I was going to say what I mean by that is today I realize I really enjoy working with clients just as much, if not more so, than working with agents. And so my agents today are very seasoned, experienced, and they don't need as much help from yours truly. But, I have been in that place before where I was happy to hire every new agent possible and give them everything. And at that point, I wasn't able to really help and serve clients direct because I was really at that point focusing on agents.
Yeah. The Integrity All-Stars team is amazing. So tell us more about your team, size of your team, how many salespeople, how many listing agents, buyer's agents, how many admins?
So the team of 10, currently we have 2 full-time admins that are licensed, and they definitely help me get my job done. The rest of the agents are all very seasoned, experienced agents, and we don't do like the Red Book would tell you, you have a buyer's agent, a showing agent, a listing agent, and then if you get really big, you're supposed to have your listing manager and then the agents under them. And, I like to do things different. What I have found is I like to figure out what everybody else does and then twist it to fit what I want to do at that time. So all of my agents do everything front to back. versus, I don't have one designated as a showing agent versus a listing agent, if that makes sense. And the reason why I do that is because I want to empower them to, at some point fly the coop and be able to do it themselves. And what I've discovered over the years and watching big mega teams, and maybe that's, by design for their team lead, is that if you're only training an agent to be good in one arena, then it's really scary for them to leave on their own and try to help somebody front to back, meaning, from the marketing aspect, a lot of agents really struggle with getting new business. That is something I've usually been, pretty good at getting. And then on top of that, if they're only a showing agent, they may not know the paperwork very well. Or if they're, only a listing agent, then when it comes to helping buyers navigate shifting market and bidding wars on the buyer side, they may not be the best at it. So I like to make sure that our agents can handle the whole transaction front to start to finish.
Okay, interesting. So it's like, so I guess, how do you identify those roles and when they're needed at what times? And are you the coach at all times? And how does that whole dynamic work?
Well, so we do have regular meetings with our agents. It used to be in person, and then thanks to COVID, we got really good at doing these type of sessions where we're on Zoom. And yeah, it's me usually who they call when they do need help for, usually it's more the, hey, I wrote this contract this way, and now we're running into issues on the Binzer or the inspection, and, help me out kind of thing. But that's where I don't necessarily need to be as involved with the day-to-day mechanics of their transactions, because they know how to do it the whole way through. So it's not a matter of, it's more that I'm there to support them, and I provide a lot of, I would like to say a lot of inspiration. I keep, we have a group text that happens every day with my main admin assistant, Ashley, who's super good at what she does. And she helps me definitely. She's probably, if you were going to term somebody a role, probably more my team captain when it comes to helping the agents, making sure that they're following up the leads and making sure, like, when we have new training happening, that they're all on board, that they're, doing all that. As a producing team lead, meaning I do work with clients myself, I think that helps me stay in the know of what's happening now, because I'm having the same conversations I'm trying to help them through with clients. And that's kind of a big deal. If you're going to work for a team and that team lead hasn't sat at a listing presentation themselves in a really long time, I don't know that they're the best ones to be giving the advice to the agents out in, really out in the trenches. And, things change all the time in our world. That is for sure. So having somebody, I think, that is active in the industry, actually serving clients, is a great team lead to have.
Right, right. I mean, obviously you've done an amazing job building a very successful team. How much volume did you guys do last year? And what are the goals for this year?
So last year, sadly, like the rest of the world, we had a really tough third and fourth quarter as our market shifted, and a lot of buyers found themselves not able to qualify. So I'm going to say this caveat, because I was kind of disappointed by my numbers last year, only because they were less than the year before. Last year, we achieved 75 million with 202 transactions for our team. Prior year, we were at 200 and, let me think about that, 12. And we were at 97 million. But then 2020, we hit 250 transactions for, I think it was 101 million. I was really excited. It was the first year we had hit 100 million. And my goal would be to hit that again. Last year, I thought maybe we'd get close, come summertime, and then everything changed in third and fourth quarter. So we didn't finish the year as strong as I would have liked to have seen.
Okay. And share with the audience, like, what counties do you serve?
So here in Arizona, we serve Maricopa County, Pinal County, and Gila County. That would be like, everybody's in town right now for the Super Bowl. So when people are watching the Super Bowl, I serve that whole area, Northern Arizona. That means we cover Prescott, Pine, and Strawberry and Payson. And then I mentioned Pinal, which is more our outlying areas in our Southeast Valley, which cover Gold Canyon down to Queen Creek and Santan Valley. And we'll even venture down to Casa Grande. It's a very big valley, corner to corner. We're an hour and a half drive, which is about like a 60-mile spread. So of course we try to work as much as possible in our own backyards, but after 30 years of me doing this business, I have people I've helped and served all over the entire area. And I'm not one to turn down business. So if they need my help on Glendale, I'm driving out to Glendale.
Yeah, that's fantastic and inspiring to hear your numbers. And I'm sure other agents listening are thinking, how do you do it? And the perception is when you're busy, client experience drops and marketing and prospecting drops. So how are you able to manage this? And when do you know when it's time to get another assistant?
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, Kirsten. I was just saying to my husband yesterday, if we start picking back up, we'll probably have to go back to 3 full-time admins. We had one that worked. We used to have 3. And we say that she fired herself last year, which happened to be, she did something really stupid. And, people are human. What are you going to do? And so she left. Actually, it was about this time last year. And we kind of decided, let's see what it would look like sticking with 2. And then we started noticing the slowdown that we started having in the second quarter. We felt it coming. And so I decided, it didn't make sense to hire a 3rd at that time. But one thing I'm going to tell you, the best thing I ever did. Now, okay, I've done a lot of things really good, but I'm going to say the best thing I ever did was I actually put into writing and I call it my office Bible. My staff, I think they love it and hate it. But when that individual who worked for us, she'd been with us for a decade, like everything was upstairs in her brain. And thank God I made an effort a few years ago, and it was a lot of work to do this. We created what we call our office Bible. And it's literally an instruction manual for every task that everybody who's on my team does. And it's thick and it's a work in progress. And every time something changes, like, for example, Chat GPT came out, right? And we're already using it on our listing descriptions and emails. We're using it all over the place. And so every time we do something new, I'm always like, ladies, put that in the manual, because you just don't know. I mean, people get sick, people leave, you just don't know. And so what was awesome is when that individual left, the other 2 ladies were able to step right in, and we didn't skip a beat. Now that, honestly, the reason why I did that was because when I came to work at Berkshire Hathaway, my CEO at the time really encouraged me, because at some point, I've been doing this 30 years, guys. At some point, I'd like to be able to retire and actually have something to show for all my years of service. And so without a really kick-ass CRM, that's number 2 thing that I've done, is I lecture about it every time people have me speak, is agents can get really lazy when it comes to things they don't like to do. And most of us agents, if we like to sell houses, really don't like the administrative type of work that is required for CRM or to update a manual, right? But if you're not good at it, you hire somebody else who is, because that saved us. And that makes our lives so much easier, because then when it comes to like marketing, they don't have to stop and ask me what to do. They can just flip open the manual if there's a question about, how, like, for example, when the market shifted, we got back to doing a lot of things that we used to not have to do. Today we're back to doing open houses, guys. Heck, last year, this time, I couldn't even get a listing active before we had 20 offers. So,
Right.
we kind of got out of the habit of going on broker tours. We had one of our agents go on a broker tour yesterday. So if you don't have a manual and things shift, you have to almost recreate the wheel all over again when things are changing. And what we do is we just kind of shade it gray if we're not using it, but we keep it there because we know our market's cyclical, and activities we're doing today probably aren't going to be the same activities we're doing tomorrow. And it all depends on what the market's doing at that point in time.
Right. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, it sounds like you have the processes in place. You're organized. You're adapting to the marketing and the trends in this marketplace. So that my next question would be, so I guess what plays are you running, right?
I'm super nerdy, dude. I'm always digging around looking for what's happening tomorrow, not just today. And that's actually why I became so involved with you guys at Propy, because I do truly believe the crypto world and the metaverse is going to blow open our doors in the next few years when it comes to real estate. And I wanted to be the first in the space in my local area. So I think it's very incumbent for any team lead to always be networking, connecting with others, and figuring out what's happening tomorrow, not what's going on today, because you want to be ahead of that curve, and you want to make sure your staff, your team, your agents are following your vision. Because if they don't understand why I got them certified in crypto, they shouldn't be on my team. And honestly, I got rid of a lot of dead weight last year that maybe only did a deal or two that maybe they're good a few years ago. And I used the crypto certification as my threshold of remaining on my team. If they wanted to keep working with me, they needed to be, willing to jump head first in an area that they knew nothing about before I told them that they had to go do it. And so I think a lot of it's also relationships, you guys. If you're a team lead who's inaccessible to your agents, what good are you when they need help?
Yeah. And Kirsten, unless you have something, but
yeah, no, I love that. Those seem like great plays. But if the perception is that we trade money for time, how do you balance your time, Rebecca?
That we trade money for time. Oh, that's a terrible perception. Why do we have to trade money for time, guys? I think you could do it all. Personally, I mean, if Kirsten, you've gotten to know my team, my ladies who are my right arm and my left arm, and I'd be worthless without either of them. I think at the end of the day, it's about leverage. It really is. And having people that you can trust on your team, that you can rely on and count on. I would not be able to do everything that I do with my team for myself, for our business, if I didn't have good people that I knew while I'm on calls like this or answering my phone at the office and getting back to my clients for me, because they know that I'm tied up.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that I've seen with my colleagues that, have always talked about having a team, or maybe they have an assistant or a partner and then it fails and then they give up on trying, is that there's a lot of agents out there that are total control freaks and they will not allow other people to do for them. And don't think I didn't have that same struggle. You have to get to a place where you're okay if they don't do things exactly the way you would do them, because there's not enough hours in the day in order to have the quality of life if you don't have people that you can trust to take care of things for you. From a team lead perspective, I can accomplish those kinds of numbers because I have great people that are underneath me. And without them, then I would just be the average agent out there. And the average agent, oh gosh, the numbers are scary. The average agent last year didn't even sell one house a month, and how do you pay your bills, doing one house a month? And nobody on my team is an average agent. They all do better than that. And I know it's because of my systems that we have in place, but also just my leadership. They know they can do whatever they put their eyes on, because I'm always that optimist myself, encouraging them and trying to get them, feeling like they have my support for whatever they need to be doing in their business. And we've got a couple of really great rock stars on our team that I'm honored to even have on my team, because, I think the relationship we have, some of it's familiar because, I have my nephew and his fiance on our team and they're fantastic. So they love me anyways, they better, right? But when your agents truly do respect and love you, they will do anything for you and they'll put in those extra hours. So I think a lot of it, just treating people the way you want to be treated, gets you so far in life, in work, and with your clients.
Right. So for other team leaders listening and on the webinar today, is the famous quote true? 100 problems every day with half the pay.
No, not at all. Why? So why would that be true? 100 problems? No. Now, I will say I have discovered again, I used to do the rainmaker style of leadership. And for me, it just didn't scratch my itch. I need to be selling. I enjoy working with clients. And I think if you were just kind of, for me, my personality type, if I was just pigeonholed in an office where I didn't get to go run around, like I love that every day is different for me. But, I think a lot of it's just your perception, is the challenges you run into on a day-to-day basis truly a problem? Or is it just a speed bump in your road, and when you look at things from an optimistic perspective, you can really conquer anything. And I think really that is all attitude more than anything. And if your team lead has that type of attitude, I don't know that I'd want to be following that person. I think I personally would always have followed and admired people that in the face of adversity, shine their brightest. And if somebody's looking at challenges as problems and you only get half the pay, then heck, why bother?
Right. No, I absolutely love that. And, we've covered a lot, but just a quick recap. So we looked at, optimizing the size of your team type of thing. We looked at how we manage our time. We've looked at how we ensure our service and or prospecting doesn't drop when we get busy. My next question is, and you kind of covered part of it, but what are some adjustments that we're making in 2023 besides this NFT crypto idea and besides open houses? Are there any sort of adjustments you're making as a play caller for 2023 specifically?
Well, we just started 2023, so I don't know what other changes I'm going to be doing, but knowing that at least in the Phoenix local area market, we've already shifted back to a seller's market. And most people, their perception is that we're still in a buyer's market. Number one for me has always been education, educating my agents, educating my staff, and educating our sphere. And I don't know that that's going to be different going into this year, but I personally enjoy working with buyers. I think it's fun. You know, the sellers, I'm encouraging to come back to the marketplace. And I don't know that that's different, but, you know, second half of last year, I talked myself out of work all the time. You know, I'd go on a seller consult and, you know, I'd share with them the numbers and what we were dealing with at the marketplace. And I can tell you in 2023, I'm going to stop talking myself out of work because I really need my sellers to come back to market. The buyers that are going out today are a little disillusioned at the lack of inventory that we're seeing here locally. In fact, we have 25% less inventory here in Phoenix than we did 3 months ago, which was declared the bottom of our market. The top of our market was declared last May. So we had a really messy second half of last year. And I feel like this year it's much more normal, meaning we're getting back to a lot of the basics of marketing, meaning I never stopped doing my newsletter. I didn't care, you know, how busy we were. And I think that is one slip up is a lot of agents and a lot of teams become more reactive when they get busy because you kind of hit the things that hit you first, right? You know, I've always been very proactive as much as possible, but this year we're just getting back to the basics as far as, you know, we're very close to a balanced market. Some cities, we are still considered buyers markets in the outskirts of Arizona, meaning like the areas where the builders still are and you're competing against the builders. But really today, you know, we're happy to serve anybody and everybody. And the first thing we want to always make sure that we're doing is addressing any concerns. And so right now, like I was with the call with a client yesterday and they just couldn't understand why a seller wouldn't take an offer $100,000 less than list. And I'm like, guys, we're just not in that market. So I don't know that's different, but I think what's super important in 2023 is knowing the stats, knowing your numbers, knowing what's happening in the marketplace and making sure you're educating everybody you can, because the perception out there is very different than reality today. It really is.
All right. So final question, Rebecca. So obviously you're a veteran agent, you're a successful team lead, one of the top real estate professionals in Arizona. What would you tell yourself who essentially just started in the business as of today?
Start your CRM now and stay on top of it. I have 7,000 plus in my CRM and people approach me all the time that maybe I met them years ago. I don't remember where, but you know, they've been getting my newsletters consistently. So you got to be consistent. And if you don't stay in front of them, you're going to lose them. So that is my number one thing. It makes me so crazy at how many agents that have been in the business for several years and they come on board or I talk with them and they have no CRM to speak of. Like that is just disgraceful to me because if you're in sales and marketing, if you don't have a CRM, how are you staying in touch? So that was my number one thing because majority of agents I know just from their disc profiles, they don't like them and they get lazy about stuff they don't like doing. And then they don't want to spend the money to hire somebody else. And that is such a huge mistake. So from day one, the easiest thing is to start it. I think a lot of agents, you know, in a year or two after they start developing, you know, past clientele, they lose track of them. And I think the statistics are like, it's staggering at how few people actually reuse the same agent, not because they didn't like them, it's just because they forgot how to get in hold of them and get in touch with them. And half the time they forget their names. That's terrible.
I love that. So CRM, staying organized. Okay, I love that. That's awesome.
I mean, I know it's basic, you guys, but it is shocking how many agents do not stay on top of it. And anybody who's listening to this, I bet you half of them are probably going, oh, that's me. I feel guilty, but it's true. And in today's technology, there's no reason for it. So, you know, and then the other thing is just trying to stay ahead of the curve. You know, that has really been my secret sauce. I was doing short sales when nobody else was doing short sales. And I know I'm going to be doing deals in crypto before half the world even knows how to speak the language of crypto. And that has truly been my success.
Yep.
Amazing.
You're already ahead. Got your whole team crypto certified and you guys are ready to go.
We are ready to go. Well, we're going to do that other class in March, still coming, but you know what I'm saying. It's just, I want to make sure everybody knows what's happening tomorrow, not just what's happening today. And the only way my team's going to know that is if I'm the one, out there looking for that information and providing it to them.
Yeah. It's amazing. Well, we're almost out of time, but thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining us today. And any last remarks you want to leave anybody with?
I really think this year is going to be a fantastic year. I really think because I do my podcast, I am super nerdy. I'm always reading stats, and the national stats really make it sound terrible out there. And if somebody falls into that kind of clickbait kind of mentality, stop what you're doing, go outside, enjoy the sun. If where you're at, you don't have sun, go to a tanning bed. I'm telling you, vitamin D will do the world of good for your optimism and the way you look at things. But ultimately, what we heard, if you guys aren't following Gary Habib, interest rates may be starting with a 4 by May. I think we're going to have a hell of a busy spring. You guys, if you're not seeing it yet, get out there, do your normal business, and I promise you, you're going to have a busy spring.
Yeah.
Yes. Rebecca, do you want to share your podcast? What's the handle?
The handle is gratefulheart.tv. We are on every single platform out there. I cover everything from the health of the real estate market to the health of your house to anything having to do with health. I love, helping people feel better any way I can. And so I just did a couple shows yesterday. Water is a big deal in the world today, especially in Arizona being a desert. And I had the 2 biggest water authorities in the state meet for the first time on my show. That was super fun for me. And then I did a market update with my colleagues. Another piece of advice I'm going to give you guys, if you're not doing a mastermind group, participating in a regular one, I've been hosting one for many years. Because of how busy I am, I just stepped down and somebody else took it over. But the best thing you can do is talk to other colleagues that you know, love, and respect, that you've done business with on a regular basis. That is the best way to find out what's happening tomorrow. Honestly, my mastermind group has been a godsend for me. And I would encourage everybody and anybody listening, if you don't participate in one, start one yourself and start getting around people that are also producers, because you're going to learn a lot from them if you guys are all willing to share.
Yes, amazing. Let's end with that because that was perfect. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. We've shared your handle. I totally agree on the mastermind idea. It's a beautiful thing. And gosh, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful day. And I'd say go Chiefs or go Eagles, but I have friends on both sides of it. So I hope everybody has fun watching the game on Sunday.
All right. Thank you. You as well. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
So that concludes our weekly webinar. I'm going to